Good morning, everyone. Good to have you guys here with us. From time to time, we hear news about a new drug being launched by a big pharma. But do you know that most new drugs are discovered outside the labs of big pharma? Large pharmaceutical companies depend on innovation from biotech and academia. So please don't underestimate your potential and opportunities in drug discovery and development. Then you may ask me, as a researcher, how can I commercialize my drug discovery and development projects? What are the factors that I should consider? Later on, Hisa Yamada is going to share with you a lot of details with case studies based on his R&D experience. Right now, I just briefly give you an overview. In general, you need innovative science and a strategic business plan. You should discover and develop a novel drug to address an unmet medical need. I underline the word unmet because it's very important. Sometimes we receive applications from researchers proposing that they're going to develop a drug against this to treat a disease indication, but in fact, that disease indication has well be taken care of, which means the SOC standard of care is efficacious, it's safe, and also it's affordable. Then there's no need to develop such another drug. For example, if you send us a proposal about treating COVID-19, apparently there's no need, right? So you also should have a storyline backed by data and or MOA, mechanism of action. For example, you need to show, if let's say you have identified a drug compound, you need to show like what happened in vivo. Does it bind to another molecule which activates or inhibit a signaling pathway that lead to tumor suppression? So with that kind of data about mechanism, we have better understanding in terms of how to manage the safety, or so maybe dosage, or even the efficacy, right? So that's actually quite important. And also, since we are developing a drug, it has to be clinically efficacious. And also, in the end, the drug is going to go to human body, so safety is definitely very important. Just to let you have a rough idea how important some of these factors are, I can briefly share with you some statistics. Among all the drugs that failed, about 45% failed due to lack of clinical efficacy. Another 30% failed due to human safety toxicity issues. And also, your project has to be clearly differentiated, which means it has to be either best in class or first in class, not me too. Among the applications that we receive, I would say all the projects have very good science, but then quite a few of them were rejected by us because there was no clear differentiation. So if you have a project that has everything over here, you should accelerate it. Otherwise, your competitors will catch up and you will lose your competitiveness. Besides innovative science, you should also have a strategic business plan. So in terms of business, you have to think about your team, that you should have a team with complementary skill sets. Sometimes our researchers think that one day if they spin out, they're going to move the entire lab to the company. I would say this is not a good strategy because your lab people most likely are scientists who are good at science and technology, but who is going to help you to conduct business development, and who is going to help you to develop business plan, and who is going to help you to interface together with pharma or VCs, and who is going to even help you to manage your finance, right? So all these actually, apparently you need complementary skill set, team members. All these talents, they have very different skill sets. And also you should have a very good business value proposition. You should be clear about your drug's clinical, economic, and societal merit in the wider treatment landscape. And you should also conduct market analysis and identify competitors. Sometimes we receive applications from our researchers making such kind of statements saying that, for example, globally, there are how many patients suffer from, let's say, liver cancer, and annually, how many patients died, from liver cancer. Therefore, that translates to how much revenue I'm going to secure, if I develop and launch such a drug. When you make such a statement, you are assuming that you're going to own the entire market, which means by the time you launch your new drug, whoever have been treated by SOC will immediately stop SOC. They will jump to buy your drug, and whoever have been treated by other drugs, developed by other companies, they're going to stop buying those drugs, and they'll immediately flock to buy your drug. And medical doctors will stop prescribing the SOC. They will all ask patients to buy your drug. Is that possible or even realistic? Right. So if we ourselves are not even convinced by such a statement, then don't put it in your pitch deck or write up. It won't do you good. And instead, what you should do is you analyze the market and also you identify who are your competitors. Your competitors are those who have already developed the drug in the market, right? The drug is already in the market. They already secured quite a lot of patients. They are definitely your competitors. And those pharma and biotech companies who are developing a drug, probably some of the drug already in the clinical trials, those are definitely your competitors. And there are also other researchers like you who are still working in the lab, developing a drug or discovering a drug. They are also your competitors. And you find out what are in their hands. Do a head-to-head comparison. By doing so, you will also start to understand whether you will have a clear differentiation, what problems you might have, and also how to solve such problems or mitigate some of the risks. And then what are your competitive advantage? So that's actually the due diligence you will need to conduct. And also, because drug discovery and development projects have very high regulatory burden, you definitely will have to find out what is the regulatory path. Sometimes we receive applicants from our researchers saying that I don't foresee any regulatory issues with my drug discovery and development projects. How can that be, right? Your drug is going to go to human beings, So definitely the regulatory authority will have to be very careful. It's going to be efficacious and safe. And also patients will care about whether it's going to be costly or whether it's going to be affordable, right? So all this, so you have to think about it. But then you may ask me, then how can you find out about the risks, right? So what you should do is you should just have a talk, conversation with regulatory specialists or some industry experts with some non-confidential information about your project. And then you ask them, do you have any concerns about my project, right? When they share with you about their safety concerns or any concerns, you go back and think about it and then come up with a plan, come up with some strategies, how to mitigate such risks. That would be the best way to do. Actually, people will be happy to see that you are fully aware of the risks. But then in the meanwhile, you also have mitigation plans rather than you just blab people by saying that, oh, there's no risk at all. And also, you should definitely have to secure your IP, have an IP strategy. You have first of all, you have to be very clear that you're not going to have FTO encumbrance issues, and also you have to be clear about what part of those technologies or know-hows should be protected. And also, on the other hand, you don't prior art yourself. And later on, when you have sort of develop a drug, you also have to coordinate manufacturing. You have to engage CMC to ensure that the drug manufacturing is of high quality and also stable and consistent. And also you have to work closely with CDMO. Sometimes our researchers have the impression that as long as they can secure some funds to manage the manufacturing stakeholders, then actually they can just engage them through like fee for service. Nowadays, actually, very leading CMCs and CDMOs, they also are a bit selective because they receive a lot of requests every day. So you also need to show your values. They want to see that your drug development project is going to be a very promising one. Otherwise, they may not even want to work with you. So then you have to engage them in a very strategic way. Also, fundraising definitely is important. Everyone knows that. Our researchers in general understand that when they are running low in cash, they should raise funds. That's true. That is true. But then you should also consider some other factors. For example, even though when you are not running low in cash, if let's say you are about to achieve the next value inflection point, actually that's a good time, for you to start raising funds, because then you can actually approach the VCs, show them, I have achieved all these key milestones, and also I'm gonna, my program or my company is gonna reach the next value inflection point, right? So if you invest in my program or my company right now, then you probably next 6 months or 1 year time, my company is the valuation is gonna increase significantly. So probably you can actually secure a good deal, even though you are actually financially healthy at that time. So go ahead raising funds. This diagram summarizes how to translate science to patients. Right now, you guys conduct the basic research on the very left side to gain some knowledge, or also some initial proof of concept to address an unmet medical need. And then you're going to test out by conduct the preclinical development. Hopefully, you can also reach the clinical trials and also get regulatory approval. And later on, you will need to scale up manufacturing and coordinate supply chain to deliver the drug to the patients. The more patients that require your drug, and then actually the more drug you will need to manufacture. And the more you manufacture, the more patients will benefit. So hopefully you can enter that positive feedback loop. And then after that, you're going to get some reimbursement. The more reimbursement you get, at the end of the day, you're going to make profit. With the profit, you can then invest some of your profit to basic research so that you can develop another drug. And some of the profit may go to your shareholders. So I hope that every one of you can actually enter the value cycle over here. And the journey towards commercialization is not going to be linear. You definitely will have quite a lot of setbacks and frustrations, which is normal. So I would encourage you guys to embark on your journey together with STDR. STDR stands for Singapore Therapeutics Development Review. We have 3 objectives. The first objective is to strengthen our pipeline of drug discovery and development projects aimed at commercialization. We conduct project evaluation and funding. The second objective is to provide guidance for projects towards commercial traction by investments by pharma and venture builders. We developed a mentorship program as well as bootcamp program. Because we understand that you guys are not trained for commercialization, you will need guidance. The third objective is to develop biopharma and e-talent in the local ecosystem. We conduct ecosystem building events like even today's events, although it's meant to be for the launch of the ground call. We do invite it like Hisa Yamada-san, as well as like, Muhammad also joined our event to provide some educational piece. So far, we have achieved 4 spin-off companies. Among them, one has raised $16.9 million US dollars VC funding, and another spin-off has raised $10.5 million US dollars VC funding as well. And another 3 projects have entered EDDC's pipeline. For STDR funding program, we provide 2 types of funding. One is pre-pilot, the other is pilot. Since last ground call, I think in Feb this year, we have raised quantum ceiling for both pre-pilot and pilot. Now for pre-pilot, we can fund up to 325K. Pre-pilot is for very early stage projects. For example, you use the fund to validate a target, also to elucidate the MOA. And then for pilot is for relatively more mature projects, we can fund from we can support you from target validation to preclinical stage. Pilot is gated through milestones, and there is possibility for top up close to the end of the funding if the project turns out to be very high promising. Later, Munira will share a bit more details in terms of our STDR funding program, and like what are the eligibilities and what are criteria, and also what are the common issues that we observe in the rejected applications. And we have developed STDR mentorship program, which I mentioned earlier. We pair all our awardees, pre-pilot and pilot awardees, with mentors who are industry experts. So far, we have recruited 67 mentors in our mentorship program. I'm unable to fit everyone's face in one picture, so I just put some of them here. As you can see, we have a lot of familiar faces, like for example, Amy Schumann from Polaris USA, who has been well engaged in our ecosystem. She's also mentoring one of our STDR projects. And we also have Damien, CEO of EDDC over here. EDDC has been helping us to mentor quite a lot of projects. And recently, we also invited Carl First, the former CEO of Aslan, and we also brought in Jack from Trinity. And as you can see, Hisa Yamada-san later on, who is going to give a talk. And he's also an STDR mentor. Our mentors provide guidance to our STDR project teams, as well as connecting them with industry networks. And we also developed bootcamps together with SMART and EDDC. In total, we developed 4 bootcamps, 3 together with SMART and 1 with EDDC. We send all our awardees pre-pilot and pilot to bootcamps for training. In the bootcamps, we teach you not about like biochemistry or cell biology, because you guys already are very familiar, very experienced in biology, in chemistry. But what we teach you guys is to shift your mindset towards commercialization. We'll teach you like how to define target product profile, TPP, and how to define your value proposition, how to conduct market analysis and competitive analysis, and how to pitch. And we also teach you how to define a business model, how to come up with IP strategy and regulatory paths, all these. And in meanwhile, we also organize public events to enhance the knowledge in our whole ecosystem. So far, we have organized 3 symposiums, 2 workshops, and by working together with EDDC and SMART, our street partners, we also conducted 132 one-on-one consultations. We welcome researchers to approach us to have one-on-one consultation to understand a bit more about your project and see how we can best support you. And we have also sent our STDR awardees to meet with industry experts who are from pharma or VCs to have some industry feedback. We also have organized 7 PI pitching networking sessions to enhance our PI's pitching skills. We have conducted 20 outreach activities going around the whole island to NUS, NTU, Duke NUS in-house, hospitals, and everywhere in STDR as well, to speak to researchers, encourage them to join STDR. And also, I myself also gave a lecture at Duke NUS Master's Program, teaching the master students how to commercialize their therapeutic projects. And we have organized 8 workshops and seminars. So this is almost my last slide. I wanted to share with you that STDR doesn't work by itself. We work in synergies with partners to bolster our local drug discovery and development ecosystem. We focus on the translation from science to business and contribute to biotech spin-offs with follow-on funding from the government, local VCs, and incubators. We also act like a national level funnel to bring promising early-stage projects to the downstream receptacles such as EDDC, NetEye, pharma, and biotech. So to summarize my presentation, to prepare for commercialization, researchers should start thinking about business while conducting cutting-edge science. It is never too early to start developing an entrepreneurial mindset and learning about commercialization. STDR bolsters local drug discovery and development ecosystem through synergies with ecosystem partners. STDR focuses on the translation from science to business. It provides funding, mentorship, training programs, and industry networking opportunities. That's the end of my presentation. Thanks a lot.